Good evening and welcome, everybody. This is Michelle Howe, and tonight we are here with Crystal Lunbeck. Say hi, Crystal.
Hi.
And we're going to talk about abundance, health, and wealth in the new year. Before we get to that, I would like to welcome all of you again. And I'm excited to have us here together. This format is something you're listening to. I will record it and then send it to everyone who registered and even put it on YouTube, because I've gotten to learn how to do that, so that other people can listen to it when they get time. And I'm planning to do these every month. It's a very relaxed format. We have a topic. Crystal and I brainstorm the topic, and then come on, talk a little bit to you, and then look for questions from you. We would really appreciate some so we can clarify or bring another perspective to it. If you're on the phone, I can unmute you. So you would star 2 to raise your hand, and then you can just speak into the event. But we are recording it, so I'd keep your last name out of it, but I'd say, hey, what would you like to ask, basically, or what would you like to add, and we can go from there. So I want to do a little bit of an introduction here. Crystal, I'm going to introduce you because I do very well introducing other people. Crystal and I were just talking about, what should we call her? What can we say that she does or doesn't do? Crystal has a wealth of abilities, gifts that she has been developing or has been just given since she was 5 years old. But she's an empath, and she stays back until people ask for insights or help or guidance to deal with whatever it might be that's coming into their world. A lot of times it's spirits, it's residual energy in a house, it's telepathy, like the intense type of telepathy where it really comes over you and it kind of takes a lot of skill to manage in your life. Plus, a wealth of knowledge, Crystal. She knows a lot about herbs, a lot of topics, and she can make holistic remedies and essential oil combinations and all kinds of beautiful things. Oh, yeah, she's clairvoyant. What else, Crystal? Is there anything I missed?
You know what? I'm pretty much everything that I've looked up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. As far, and you are the admin, one of the original admins of the Empath Educational Center, correct?
I don't know if it's original, but early on. I've been there for 5 years, over 5 years, something like that.
Wow. Well, that's good. I've known Crystal a while, and she's a pleasure to bring on and to have as a friend. As far as me, you guys probably all know I'm the founder of Empath Evolution. I am an empath. I'm a healer is the way I look at it. I'm here to guide. I'm here to share my insights. I'm here to help strengthen and expand people's consciousness and awareness and how to navigate what the journey looks like. It's an awakening journey, and let me tell you, it is not simple. Is it fun? You know what? It is what it is, and the more you resist it, the harder it is. So I embrace it. And, it's good to know people that are on the same journey as you so you don't feel so alone. And the more skilled you become, the easier it is to navigate out there. So I do emotional empowerment program. I have one coming up at the end of the month. I do some events that are local for empaths. I really would like to get us into groups, and I'd like to get some really skilled empaths leading and facilitating those groups, because a lot of times, we really need those connections to help us help one another and to reach out a hand to somebody who doesn't even know what the word empath is or who's just starting on it. So there's a lot happening on that front. And then I have Healing Your Soul events, which is something I really want to get moving. And they're just a couple-hour events where I'm going to teach on a topic that I'm guided to teach on. Then we're going to do introspection. We're going to do a healing, a clearing, a meditation. We're going to bring the energy together where it's stronger and we can clear more things that are within our field and we can transform in very subtle and sometimes very not so subtle ways. All right? So do you want to start talking about this, Crystal? What do you want to add? Do you want to add anything?
No.
Okay. All right. So it's funny, the word abundance, we looked it up yesterday, Crystal. What did we come up with?
That it is a oversupply or more than you need. It is a quantity. It is, and usually it's tied to financial, but it can be anything you choose. It can be as much as you need plus some. I think it's probably the best way to put it. You don't have a need for whatever it is that topic is. Your needs are met and you have extra. And
right.
That could be money. It could be, a lot of different things. So we were talking with abundance, where do you start? And I think one of the first things is your needs need to be met. And I'm talking about basic needs like shelter, clothing, food, things like that. Once you get those met, then you move into, for one, having more time and energy to focus on other aspects, other things that you need to satisfy you for your contentment.
Yeah, abundance is a very tricky word because it really is about, it's the definition of it is quantity, an abundance, an overflowing, an abundance of, the cornucopia has an abundance of fruit in it. It's like we want to live in abundance. We want to have everything that we want. We want everything: abundant health, abundant friendships, abundant wealth, abundance in how we're feeling, abundance in feeling good about ourselves and good about our lives. What do we need? So I think in a lot of ways it's used commercially to kind of move us in, oh, we need more. It's more and more and more. And it can become like a never-ending, when is abundance, abundance in manifesting. I want to manifest abundance. That means I want to manifest wealth, all right? So I think it's a tricky word. And when Crystal said, what are your needs? Everybody has to abundantly manifest what they need to survive in life, all right? But then again, sometimes we want to manifest more. That's fine, but you just need to be careful because I really think abundance is very tricky. It could lead you down a road where you're constantly trying to get more of everything because you don't have enough of it. And, so in my book, when I look at abundance, honestly, Crystal, I say, all right, abundance is a feeling. I want to feel abundant. I want to feel like I have what I need. But need and want are two separate things. Correct?
Yes, there is a difference between need and want. And I brought up, too, that, if you get tunnel vision on one thing, sometimes you can be so focused on doing that, making that happen, that you don't take the time to look at other needs And this is past what you actually need to survive, like physically, as far as shelter, food, clothing. This goes into what's really deep inside, what really fulfills you. And for me, one of those things was to have a family, to have kids. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying for me, that was something that I needed to, or at least I really wanted, to feel content, feel happy. But, you know, there are some people that don't want that, and that's fine. Good for you. But what is it that really feeds your soul? Because it's not always going to be money. And don't get me wrong, money's fine. There's nothing wrong with money. But it's not going to bring you happiness unless you have the other aspects that feed your soul, the other things that bring you happiness or contentment, security. It could be relationships. It could be all kinds of things. And that's where I think I get kind of turned off with the term abundance, because it's very focused on quantity. It's focused on amount. It's not focused on quality. And I think that is just as important, if not more important, than quantity.
I agree with you on that. Absolutely. More of something isn't necessarily better. More food isn't necessarily better, and your body's going to tell you that. When we're talking about health, more is not necessarily better. When we're talking about health what? Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, more thoughts, more work isn't necessarily healthier for you. More money comes with strings attached. Is it necessarily going to make you happier or more fulfilled? Because at the end of the day, I honestly think the big thing up on the mountain that everybody wants is to feel content, happy, fulfilled. Like, those are feelings that people want, but they often chase the things that are down below that they think are going to give them what they want, and failing to realize that it's really not something. You cannot buy the intangible feeling. You can dedicate yourself to getting things that you think are going to get you there, but best be careful what you think is going to get you there. And it goes back to your tunnel vision there again. The society has... Go ahead.
That's the thing. Society cannot tell you. Either they can't tell you what's going to bring you fulfillment and happiness and contentment and security. The other thing, too, is they try to, because it's emotional manipulation, because they want your money. I mean, if you really look at the difference between TV shows from when, I don't know, like even the Brady Bunch, that was a high-end house. I mean, it was a pretty big house, really, okay? But, and they had a maid. I don't have a maid. I've never had a maid. But, you know, for that time, it was abundance. It was something to strive to. I mean, it wasn't real, but it was, you know, projected as being real, as being attainable, or that it would bring you
for that
right, the norm, or what you should strive to have as the norm, because we're setting the bar here. And now it's progressed into complete insanity. I mean, have you seen some of the houses and things people have? And no offense to people that really enjoy decorating and things. There's nothing wrong with that. Enjoy it. If it brings you happiness, then good for you. But if you really think the guests at your table are going to judge you by how many lemons you put in the center, you know, piece, then, you know, maybe you've been sucked in a little too far. You know, I have nothing against enjoying things, decorations and things like that, especially at Christmas. But it is a huge industry. And sometimes you have to kind of, you know, scale what do I need? What do I want? Is it really way over here, or is it somewhere in the middle? Or, what is it that really will bring you satisfaction? What is too much? Because if you buy into too much, then there are consequences to that too, And it's hard, and everybody's different. But again, sometimes that's where we have to look in ourselves and decide, where is my center? Where is it that I want to be? And it can move, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be in one place. But really, it's up to you to decide what fulfills you and what you need to focus on for your abundance.
Right. And you're going to get, no matter who you talk to, everyone's got an idea of what everything is or how it should be or what the recipe is. This is how it needs to be done. This is how it doesn't need to be done. Well, guess what? They're not right or wrong. That's just their opinion. There's not a clear cut, this is the way to do it. The only thing that I would say to you, because I'm very much about being grounded and being safe and being protected, is that we just need to take responsibility for the fact that we need to, at minimum, cover our bare essentials. And then we can play a little bit with the rest of the things, but we need to do it responsibly. And I don't honestly think, I'm going to give you an example. When we went to buy our first home, the bank, they gave us such a huge limit. Like, we could have bought like double the house of what we have right now. Honest to God, Crystal. And I looked at my husband, I said, do you know, when I have children, I am not necessarily going to go to work. I don't want to feel like I have to go to work to support this house because now I have a house. You know what I mean? I will sell the house if it comes to that.
They did that with us too. They did. They basically were like, well, here is like 2 times more than what you're asking for. I'm like, but that's not what I asked for. And I turned to my husband. I said, that's all fine and good, but I don't want to have to stay home. I want to live our life. I don't want to be like, oh, well, I'd really like to come visit you or go do this thing or whatever, but I've got a mortgage to pay, so I'm staying here. No house is that nice for me.
You want to have the flexibility with your finances that you're not a prisoner of paying this, and that
exactly.
every month. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that is a definite way that society, it kind of hooks people in. It hooks people in with, what's the latest trend in this? You need to have that. You need to have this. It's not even, it's all the sales commercials coming, but then it's other people buying into it. It becomes like the norm. And if you don't do it, what, where's your new coat this year? Why didn't you buy this? This is the trend. And there's nothing wrong with following it. There's only misery, though, when you're working just to accommodate. You're working your butt off, and you're stretched to the limit, and you're stressed out because you need to accommodate these quote-unquote requirements that are coming from society. And they don't it's like, let me get this flashy new car. I feel really good about it. And then what happens 6 months later? Oh, I'm bored with the car. I need something else. Like, we feel they are like feel-good type things, but they're just possessions. So for us to think that what we have around us is going to make us feel good, it's a little bit off the beaten path, really. We need to feel good because we feel good, and then we buy things that we like. And we buy things within moderation. Like, that whole balance idea is all part of this. When people talk about, are you in balance, the polarity, too much, too little, this is good, this is bad. You want to be right in the middle where you're not sucked into being happy. You need this to be happy. You need that to be happy. You know what? Being happy is a choice. You make it every day. I look at my day. It's not like I'm happy giddy all day long. I'm not miserable. I look at the day. I generally, here's the self-talk. I'm generally happy. My nature is happy. I see the glass half full. Some days, some things happen, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? But I would never say I'm unhappy. Unhappy, when you start labeling using that word unhappy, you end up being unhappy. So it's you have to look at it differently and manage the way you're thinking about yourself and your life, because you live what you think. You feel what you think. So Crystal and I talked about the word happy, and you're like, I don't really like the word happy. I'm not really happy all the time.
I didn't.
I don't want.
I was going to say that it's too high a bar,
right,
for me to find, or too high a goal for me to find acceptable. My constant state is secure and content, and happy just sounds like a lot of work. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy being happy, but happiness is a few moments in time. I really enjoy it. I can have great big belly laughs when something's funny, and it can be simplistic things. I mean, I'm not really that difficult. It can be, ooh, this ice cream is really tasty. That first bite that's like 4,000 calories. But, just the bar of happiness, it sounds like I would be lying to myself or struggling to achieve that measure. And if others feel differently, I'm fine with that. I'm just saying, for me, I prefer to be secure and content. It is my normal state, and it's kind of like a gauge. I'm usually right here, and I can flow up, and that's nice, and sometimes things happen and I flow down, but I always come back to my constant. It's like where I need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think the whole manifesting happiness, manifesting this, and abundance brings you that. That's kind of a harsh goal, in my opinion. If I set out every day to be at a happy level, that's just too much stress for me. That's a commitment that I am not willing to make. And maybe it's because I'm too much of a realist and I just, like it here. Maybe it's me.
It lies in the definition. Like, each of us has a perception of what happy is. And if it's too hard for us to reach that happy, why would you want to, it's too much work. You just said it's too much work for me to be happy.
Well, and it implies failure. I don't want to start every day knowing that I'm going to fail. That's a terrible idea. I mean, I don't know. For me, the word happy is just too high of a thing to try and achieve all the time. It doesn't mean that it's unachievable. I enjoy it. Happy's great. But I don't want to have that sort of burden that I need to be here, and if I'm not, I'm screwing up. I don't feel that way, and I'm just not going to accept that as a rule in my life.
Well, we all make our own rules about how
Mm-hmm.
to look at things and what we find to be acceptable. There are some people that would be like, oh, no, I need to have this certain level for me to feel satisfied with my day. I need it to be a certain way. And for the most part, those people do everything they can to make sure they keep their energy at a certain level of, I want to say, excited, or a certain level of happy. So everyone's got a different level of where their comfort zone is and how they describe it. So when I look at the word happy, I don't see happy as I'm happy one moment and unhappy the next, because for the most part, happy is a pretty standard feeling. that's in me, and it feels like content, but it's on the happy side of it. Like I'm life is like not life is life, and life has moments of things you have to do. Life is not about I'm going to Disney World every day and I'm laughing at everything. It's not a show. There's a work to it. All right? So am I happy when I'm doing work, when I'm doing the dishes? I wouldn't say I'm unhappy. I'm there. I'm doing the thing. So when I look at the word happy, I say, well, I am generally happy. Because happy to me isn't me giddy on the couch. It's me just being me. That's like a normal state of me being just positive. Like happy to me means I'm positive. Overall, I've had a good day, a happy day. Like they're all words, but I guess I would like you all to tune into the feeling of consistently feeling like life is okay. Life is good. Work is okay. Like you don't have to have this overexciting, rush of energy. What do some people do? They have to go, feel like, so I think, when you look at that too chemically, Crystal, you're talking about the chemicals that are in your body, the serotonin level. Like how are you generally feeling?
And dopamine, especially dopamine.
Yeah.
I
And
think
a lot of
maybe my disconnect is going like I think maybe my disconnect on the idea of happy, which I know I'm going way too deep with this word, but it's just how I work. It's a bar set higher. Really, when I measure things, it would be if I'm going too low. If I'm going too low, like I'm not content, I'm not happy, I'm displeased,
right.
That's when I really key in and go, something's wrong. Either I'm doing something wrong or something else is wrong. And I focus on solutions because I'm not willing to stay there. That is just not where I want to be. So what is it that is causing me to feel this way? What is it that is messing with me? Then I need to focus on what the issue is. For one, I need to figure out what it is if I don't know, and apply a solution and, get me back to where I need to be. So maybe I'm just viewing it in a different way. I don't know.
Well, and so this brings it to the point that, we, health. So the abundant thing, I don't like the word. I don't think Crystal likes the word either. It just has us chasing our tail. We want to be abundant in everything. Guess what? At the end of the day, I think we just want to feel good, right? Or deal with life and not feel bad. How does that sound?
I think that's the bigger thing is if you're feeling bad, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about a constant state of bad, like a constant state of need. I'm chasing this and I can't get enough for that. You're getting real close to misery. That's when I think you need to start looking at changes because you don't have abundance. You have a need. If you've got a misery, you've probably got a need. And that's where I think it gets to be more defining for me on the lower end.
So there's a middle ground.
Because usually, I think so. And I think that's
where
I like to be.
Then there's an abundance of things, and then there's a scarcity of things. Now, the things that we're talking about are things that feed our soul. Like, does money feed our soul? Money takes care of our needs. Money in and of itself does not feed our soul unless we associate money with giving or doing something that's very good, like that's very positive, that's, so I guess I'm looking at it like we've got all of these things that are part of our life: relationships, money, health, family, if we are feeling negative about any of those, we're in scarcity. And we need to do things to kind of bring ourselves back up and out of it. I guess I would say there are a lot of choices of things that we could pick to help us feel better, and just make those things not things that come and go, like I feel better for 5 minutes and then I don't feel better at all. You want to look at what you do with life and put some quality. It's not the amount of food that I eat. It's not the amount of money that I make that matters. It's the quality of my time and how much money I'm making that feels good to me for the work that I'm putting into it. It's not having more. It's not eating more. It's not eating less. It's eating the right things. It's doing what feels right for us. So I guess I'm trying to find this middle ground. How do we know where to put our attention and what, so that we're not having tunnel vision. We're not just out there really ambitious and pursuing things and then realizing, oh my God, I missed this whole other aspect of my life that I wanted to create. Look, my whole friendships went down the drain. Look, I thought this big career was going to do everything for me, but it didn't. Now I have to, so you really want to look at life very much as there's a lot of choices and there's a lot of things, and let's not just get pigeon into this road and not do anything else. Let's look at all these other things. And like the promises of I'm going to be happy when I get this. Yes, maybe yes, maybe no. Getting anything is not the reason why you're happy or you're satisfied or you're fulfilled. Fulfillment comes as a choice when you look at what you're doing and you're directing what you're doing in moderation. I guess there's not like a simple recipe for this. It's what do you want? What feels like you? Like what are you creating that means something to you? Just there's a quality. It means something to me. This is not just me buying. Okay, I'll give you an example. I have family that would buy couches every 2 years, a new couch set. The old couch set was no good anymore. I'm looking at them, I'm like, this is their value system with money. It didn't matter to them. So they are always making more money to buy more things. That's fine. But it's at the end of the day, it wasn't the way I wanted to conduct our life. So we take care of our things so the things last longer. We buy a little bit nicer, and they last longer, and we don't have to work as much because we're not spending as much money out. So, my God, this topic is big, Crystal.
It's a huge topic.
It's a huge topic because you could look at this in all kinds of different ways. But the bottom line is I would tune into, I want to feel abundant. What does it mean for me to feel abundant? What makes me feel good? And then be very realistic about, looking at things in a positive way that you're already good. So when I was thinking about this morning, I woke up, I go, I have abundance, I want abundance, I need abundance, I am abundant. Do you know what I mean? So when I already believe that I'm happy or that life is good or that I'm abundant, there's no need there. It puts me in a really good place, and it doesn't mean that I have everything. But it's not me in a place of need. It's the thought process that's behind it that allows us to manifest or not manifest in life. Because our own thinking can work against us. We could feel bad based on our own thinking. This isn't good enough. I'm not manifesting. I'm not abundant enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. I want this. I need this. Hello. So watch your language, and I would say, do things that mean something to you. And you don't force it to happen. You move into it gently, and you take a very systematic approach to it, a realistic, systematic approach to it, positive approach to it, and things usually turn out. The hard part is most of us have a really easy time being negative. Or seeing the cup half full, or not thinking we have enough. And I think the publicity in the community and society out there is so easy for us to look at the negative of everything. So changing that dynamic takes a lot. It takes not watching all of the programming that's out there, not necessarily buying into things. Do you, are you really poor? Are you really struggling? Or is it a perception?
Well, I think part of it, too, is there's duality to things, everything. And I know people really don't like me saying that, but I truly believe it. I think the best way for you to probably determine your abundance, determine where you're at, is also based on what you have, your gratitude. And
focus on that.
I have gratitude for things that really have nothing to do with money. Now, don't get me wrong. I am super grateful that my husband has a good job. I'm grateful for the house we're living in with a mortgage, I'm grateful that, I'm not always struggling to, well, this broke and I need to replace it and I've got to try and save to, I'm grateful for the balance.
You're not struggling, right? You're not struggling.
I'm not struggling. Now, there are some struggles, but at the same time, they're achievable. They're not beyond my reach when it comes to finances. But the really big things that, fulfill me are my family, the relationships I have. And part of that is my security and my contentment. And it's not because I rely on them to do everything for me. It's that, there's a supportive value. I support you, you support me. I feel fulfillment with the love I give and the love I receive. It's
balance. It's
more about, it is balance, but it's more about the people, and I just see things as things, and I know that I'm alone in this. My husband absolutely loves Mustangs, the cars. It was the first thing that he got. It's what he wanted as his first car. And a few years ago, he got another one. He needed a car to go back and forth to work. I could care less. I don't care what it's called. I just care that it's comfortable and dependable and does what I need it to do. But
and it
those
makes
are
him happy.
differences
That's a
in
little
people.
thing.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It makes him happy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's why I think when it comes to abundance and it comes to happiness and it comes to need and it comes to fulfillment, no one can tell you what that means to you. You have to determine that. And I think that's where it can get tricky because there are lots of external factors that tell you what will bring you this. You need to have this to, feel abundant. You need this for fulfillment. You need this for contentment and happy. And you know that better than anybody else. But I know what fulfills me. If anybody else asked me, what do I need? I would be like, I have no idea. I really don't. I could ask you questions so that maybe you could guide yourself to find that.
It's a very individual thing about what we need.
Right.
Some people need very little, and other people need more. So the priority, the values that we put in different things. I guess the only thing I would say about it is to be careful you are choosing a path. You're choosing things that are not just things, but they mean something to you. and they do give you fulfillment. Like you're not just throwing things away after you're done with them. Like there's a value to it. There's a thing is a thing, and we like some things, and they're there, but you're being responsible with what you're doing, and you're leading your life in a balanced way. All things considered. Do you know what I mean? All of it. That's funny. All things considered.
I agree.
Hard and fun. So so I would say abundance is something that we need to be careful what we buy into as giving us that, but to realize more importantly that it's a feeling. It's a feeling when we determine what it is that satisfies us, that brings fulfillment, that brings us a positive outlook on life. And maybe it's not things that we have to have, but it's also the choice of how we look at what we have. And we focus on what we have, not what we don't have. So it comes back to the mental thing. Like, how are we engaging life? What are the hidden beliefs that keep us stuck thinking something isn't working or something isn't good enough or we're not happy enough? So health and wealth really are things we can manifest easy enough when we take a careful approach to how we manage our energy. I don't feel that manifesting is hard. I think we have blocks sometimes to manifesting, and I think that if we look and we have to just make sure that we cover our basic needs, and then be above and beyond that, we're creators. Find somebody to help you create, manifest, live the life that you want to live. And, there's no judging of one thing being right or wrong. It just is ours. But, at the end of the day, there's so many people that could be millionaires and they're totally unhappy. They have all the money in the world, but they're not happy. What is that? They're constantly in need of the next thing to give them a high, to help them be fulfilled, to help them think that their life means something. So it's deeper. The deeper thing is what brings you fulfillment, and make sure that when you pick what brings you fulfillment, make it deep, make it count, make it important. Okay, don't make it trivialize it. Don't make it something trivial that's here and gone tomorrow. You know what I mean? So some people have an abundance of chaos in their life. They have an abundance of drama in their life. So be very careful where you put your energies. All right. So I guess I want to see if there's any questions. We have one person on the phone. I don't know how many people are online, but if anyone wants to add anything or has any questions on this topic, I'd love to hear from you. Darlene, I see you here. So you can start too if you wanna say something. We're more than open to that. I'd be more than happy to have you speak. Questions? Of course, there are no questions. So let me see, Crystal. Let's come up with some key things that we can do for health in the new year. And then we'll do some key things we could do for wealth in the new year to manifest an abundance of that. Or, not even, I don't want to say abundance as oversupply, but feel abundant in the area of health. So you come up with one and I'll come up with one. We'll do one. We'll do 4. 2 you, 2 me.
We're making limits. Okay.
We don't have to have limits, but see if you can come up with.
Well, honestly, when it comes with health, I think first you need to do diagnostics. How do you know where you're not abundant if you don't evaluate where you're at? I mean, I think that you need to evaluate, what's doing well, what's not doing well, what could be improved. And I know a lot of people can say, oh, well, you don't know. I've got this chronic illness and blah, 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 blah. You know what? So do I. So do I. I have for years. One thing I do know is that I have relied on regular doctors, and a lot of the medication had horrible side effects. And they've saved my life, but I realized part of my problem was based on my emotions. And it wasn't an easy diagnostic either. It took me years to figure out that I was part of my problem. I internalized my emotions into my belly. And I'm still bad about that. I'm still a work in progress, so I'm not saying that I'm super great. But I have gotten better. And other people might have issues where they've got bad knees, or they've got high blood pressure, or they've got migraines, or whatever it is that they've got. One thing is that a lot of times you look at external factors. It could be stress. It could be a smell. I'm sensitive to smells. What are some of the things there that you find manifest these, bring them out to where they're really in your face? Are there times when you're doing well? If so, how is that different from when you're not doing well? Can you do changes there? So I really think evaluation is important, but I'm not saying that it's easy. All right, your turn.
So when it comes to health, you know, we all think of food, which is a big part of our health, vitamins, but also the way that we're thinking, the way that we're feeling, impacting the amount of energy that we're exerting, who's in our life, who's impacting us, where's our energy going. So I would say to improve my health, I know that I need a balance. I know when I look at my physical body, I can't be too mental too much of the time. I can't be too fired up. I need to be considerate of sleep. Like, I know this. I've done this diagnostic on myself. And sometimes I don't always take my own advice. But looking at food recently, I've noticed that I need to eat things that actually have energy in them to give me the energy that I need. So that means a total revamp of the way that I eat, which I've been resisting for years. And this, you know, I have learned, oh my gosh, I've learned so many things because I've had to get to the bottom of my own health because I'm a woman, I'm almost 50, and my metabolism went down. So I would say for health purposes, you need to move. Move. Don't allow sitting to be the position that you get most comfortable in, because then you become lethargic. And life is about sitting for work. So then let's sit somewhere when we get home and we're watching TV and we're sitting at another desk and we're sitting on bed reading. So we don't want to drive ourselves nuts, but we really do need to move. I don't care if it's stretching. I don't care what you call it, but you put it into your life, and then you be really discriminating over what you're going to eat. And then you throw the water in, and you put the lemon in the water to make your body more alkaline. So these are all little things that, you know, there's tons of articles out there. There's tons of people doing and saying and teaching some of these things. But actually doing it is a different story. It takes you being dedicated to making some change, and unfortunately, Most of us don't make the change until our back's up against the wall and we don't like what we're seeing or how we're feeling or how it's impacting us on some level. So, cut yourself some slack. Here comes the attitude part. I'm not unhappy, but there's certain things that I'm not necessarily comfortable with. They don't make me thrilled. I'm not thrilled with them. I'm insecure about certain parts that are part of me. So your health is important. So you need to, we're talking about deep issues, very deep. You need to know where you need help. What fuels you? Where are you insecure? What's the next? So life is about growth, and your health includes all of the elements. It includes your thinking, it includes your emotions, it includes your stability, being able to stand your ground, your confidence. Like, they're all interrelated. So do what you can to help yourself move up to a place where you're comfortable. You've learned, and then you move on to the next thing. Like, we're all like in this thing where we're never going to reach all the way where our hugest potential is. We're going to plateau a little bit, then we're going to struggle, then we're going to have to rise up to that challenge and go up and up, and then plateau again. Sometimes we could go down, but that is life. So if it didn't happen that way, we'd have a boring life. So start looking at the challenges that you have as opportunities to change things up, which, just turns everything from struggle to, ooh, what's this? Let's see what I can do with this. Let's see how I can manage around this. It's like a puzzle. It's like you're figuring out a puzzle. And the only person that can figure out that puzzle is you. Of course, people can help you, but, what I have seen, and it's ridiculous, is that some people, they promise the world. Of course, everyone has struggles here or there, want some help. But seeing through, it's not an illusion, but the sales pitch that people give you, like, you want to buy confidence? Here, buy this, you'll be confident. Guess what? It's never that easy to move something. It takes effort. It takes determination. It takes focus to change something that really requires that change. So there are times when we're ready to do it, and there are times when we're not yet ready to tackle something, so things kind of go by the wayside. But at some point or another, what do they say? The rubber meets the road, and you do it. You get it done. So anyway, my whole philosophy about health is, and even health, less is more. Less stress is better for you. Less to do is better for you. Less social obligations is better for you. It gives you more space. Like, lead your life from a place of space. You want to have space in your relationships. You want to have space in your day. You want to have that. What does space mean? Space means it's not clogged with too much garbage. There's room for it to breathe. So that's what I have to say. And I think I coupled all that in. That is everything that I have to say about health. Health is a big, huge topic. You can buy protein drinks. Some of this stuff is garbage. Some of this stuff is okay. So what do I think at this point in my development? I think I ask my body what my body wants. And I learn to do muscle testing, or I learn to do a pendulum, and I ask those questions that are huge, that impact my life. And I learn to be happy with what is here as opposed to what I want it to be. Like, that dissatisfaction can be a huge downer. And trust me, I understand we all want certain things and we want to feel good and everything, but when you focus on the negative, you can make it worse. So just do your best. That's all. Just do your best. And we all have good days and we all have not so good days. Okay, so let's give two more when it comes to wealth. Crystal, do you have any ideas on wealth? what would you tell somebody?
Balance. I think balance ties into eating too. I think one of the biggest things is balance because, whether it's food or whether it's wealth, if you put your energy into one point or you're eating the same thing because you like it every day or, whatever it is, if you don't have variety and balance, you're going to miss out on something else. And with food, it's simple. You're going to miss out on certain, vitamins, minerals, nutrients. But when it comes to wealth, it's the same thing too. If you put your focus all into one area, then you're going to miss some of the other aspects that really fulfill you. If you're going for, a certain amount or certain things, there's nothing wrong with that, but make sure you look around at other things that bring you happiness, joy, contentment. I just think that really sometimes, let me rephrase that. I know that sometimes I can get in a rut and get tunnel vision. I know sometimes that happens to other people too. I think you need to make sure you're aware of your direction. And it's kind of like driving in a car. If you're going on the highway, you're looking ahead. And there's nothing wrong with that. You obviously should be looking ahead. You're driving. But what about all of the stuff that you're passing? Life can be like that too. And you might be missing, a chance to go out with your friends because you're working and you would have really enjoyed it. Or you might be missing something else along the way that is actually important to you, but you're just so focused on what you're doing, you don't see it. You didn't see that opportunity. I think really that's what all of this boils down to.
Mhm. I agree with you 100% because what was it? My kids, my son graduated this past year, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? When did all that happen? When did he get that big? Oh my gosh. Was I there? Was I present? Was I a good mom? Because life goes that quick. So you don't really want regrets and you want to be able to see this stuff. So less is more. I'm going to say it again. Less is more. All right. So what I would say about wealth to me is to always, always live below your means so that you don't have to constantly be concerned or worried when things pop up out of the blue that require money. To me, nothing is worse than being stressed about money. And I've made it I'm an accountant. I went to school as an accountant. I became a CPA. I make sure that I know what we can spend and I know what we can't. And I know I don't need a lot to be happy. Like when I look around, I don't need the expensive thing to be happy. Now, mind you, I might sometimes want something that's expensive, and because I haven't been, I haven't been free. That's not the word. I haven't allowed myself to want something that's extravagant, in my opinion. I have the money when I really want something. When I go on vacation, I'm not looking to be careful with my money. I have the money. It's a vacation. I'm taking a vacation. So it's money management skills, and it's being conservative with it rather than free-flowing, let me just spend it. And it's worked for me. You might have something else that works for you, but that's how it's worked. As far as, making money or not making money, my gosh, if you really want to make money, you get a skill and you go sell that skill to somebody who's going to pay you for it. If you really want to make money and you own your own business, you have to go knocking on that door and not be afraid to sell something and put yourself on the line for it. And by the way, work really hard when it's your own business. So wealth is something we can, it's out there. We're creators. We can make opportunities come, we can manifest it. I mean, I can manifest things, and it's kind of scary to me sometimes because I didn't consciously do it. I thought of it, and the next thing you know, it's manifested. And the biggest fear I would have is, oh my God, now what do I do? Like, I just so be careful what you focus on because you will manifest it. And less is more because life is always going to throw more at you. So if you have less struggle, you can really appreciate your life and live it with more awareness, with more presence. I mean, that to me is the answer. So on that note, I think it's 8:01, my dear girl. Unless we have questions,
Okay.
we're going to wrap this up. Let me just see. No questions. We've done such a good job explaining this topic that everybody has no questions. Everybody has no questions.
I have questions. I still have questions. How can I explain this better?
I know. This was a huge topic. I think a second time around we would do much better. But I think there was too many ways that we could go. There's this huge topic. It's very big. Darlene, you're here on the phone. Do you want to star 2? Do you want to raise your hand? If you don't, that's okay. I'm glad that you're here. She did raise her hand.
Yay!
Hold on. Unmute you. Darlene. Hello?
Can you hear me?
There?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure how this was working because I'm actually on my computer.
Oh, cool.
And so I had typed in, and I didn't think you were seeing it because there was no response. So
No, oh, here you are. You're under the chat.
okay, yeah.
I am here, but I'm so sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. So I got to sit back and listen, which is always a good thing to learn to do, to be able to sit still and absorb. I thought it was very interesting conversation. And real quickly, I know time-wise we're hitting that 8:15 mark. As the two of you were initially starting to speak about abundance, my mind hadn't even gone that direction. It was interesting, so I had to sit back and rethink abundance in the sense of those material things. More material to me. That's how I took that. And it's quite interesting that wasn't what initially came to mind when I saw, the titles to the event tonight. But previously in my life, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I had really put a big, on success. And what success meant was always the material piece, successful in school, successful with my degree, success in the job, I made and things of that nature, so much that I had neglected my soul and ran from a lot of the things that I didn't understand about myself. So it was quite interesting that these last few years, being around more like-minded people and getting to really embrace and understand who I am, and that a lot of the things about me that I tried to hide or felt were strange or weird, embrace them as a gift and kind of wrap myself around the abundance of it all. So I don't know if I'm being clear, but for me,
you are. You're saying that the things that you changed the way you're looking at who you are.
Yes.
period.
Yes. Yep. Yep. And yeah, so I look at it as abundance with being an empath as having so much more than just me solely as an individual would need, and that abundance opens up the doors for me to share and be helpful and be a healer to others. And I now embrace that abundance.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it kind of led into when you guys talked about. I very much understood that. I think happy is very overused. I don't go through my days happy, laughing, jumping up and down, all day long. I find that for me, being content.
Would you say you're overall happy, or you're overall content with life?
I don't think I would use the word happy. I think I have used it though, because it's become a socially acceptable word to say that we're doing well, when really the word content and satisfied, really, if everybody was content, it'd be pretty peaceful.
Yes, it would.
But somehow saying I'm content today has some negative connotation to it. And it shouldn't. My opinion. So I like the feeling of serenity. I'm at peace. I'm calm. Things are good. Nope, I'm not happy at the moment, which is fine. It's just perfectly okay that I'm not giggling and laughing and huge smile because somebody said something funny, or to me that would be a happy reaction.
Mhm. Yeah. It's almost like an elevated state of I'm happy. For the most part, people. So yes, it's a high level word to say that you are happy.
Yeah.
That's what I felt too. It's almost setting a standard that it's just too high a mark for me. But again, maybe it's my definition. But I'm the way you are. I'm content. I'm at peace. I'm calm. I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
I have the ability to be happy, and that's good enough for me.
Right. That, my daughter called me earlier and we talked, and it was a great conversation, and it made me feel this sense of happiness. That didn't stay with me for hours. I embraced feeling happy. I spoke to her, and then I went back to this very, to me, natural state of life is good. I feel good. I'm going to relax and, watch some TV. But yeah, I find in today's times we have such a huge gap between happy and sad, and that in between place has not become comfortable anymore.
Good point. Good
Yeah.
point.
So
everyone's strive. Everyone's like in the sad, and happy is this big thing that they can't reach,
right.
because happy is way up there. But when I look at the word happy, I wouldn't say I'm not giddy all day long, but I would say I had a good day. I had a good day. Am I happy overall in my life? Yes, I'm happy. I kind of round it out. It's not I just got off the phone, so something makes me happy momentarily. That goes away within seconds. That happy feeling, it's more, but a state of being overall, I kind of move it that way, because I like you. Do I like using it? No, I feel I'm okay. I'm doing good. Usually I say good. I don't say I'm happy.
Yeah.
Someone asks me, how are you? I don't say I'm happy today. No, I have happy moments, but of course I don't say anything about the sad moments. I have sad moments too, but overall life is good, So
yeah.
Good. You did. I'm seeing your chat here. You wrote, I see abundance as an empath more of defining that being gifted with more than the need within the areas of empathy and intuition. the ability to feel not only within but of others more than what an individual needs. Ooh. And abundance within the area of gift, serenity with the gift.
And then it wouldn't let me type anymore. I was getting a little too long, I guess.
Annoyed.
So, yeah.
So go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say what basically I was leading that into that overall serenity with the gift, and that life
accepting the gift.
I feel good, and I in feeling good, I'm able to experience happiness and joy, and I'm able to experience sadness and confusion. So for me, like that serenity, the contentness is. But I think generally when people ask, how are you doing? I'm good. Are you happy? Yeah, I'm happy. It's just become the norm response, I think. But yeah, with my children, it's funny because I don't say happy either. I say to them, how are you doing today? And are you good?
Yeah, I think the word happy is a deeper word. Or you'd ask yourself, am I happy? Do I feel good? Am I happy? Why am I not happy? What's wrong? What's wrong? What am I feeling right now? What's adding to my unhappy part? So it's really more of a.
I think that's the contrast. If you're not happy, therefore you're sad.
Right.
But that's not true.
No, that's what I mean about that gap between the two words, that people don't see that space in between, which is totally okay to be within.
And you know why they're not happy with it? Because they don't know what to do with it.
Right. Yep.
Because when it's that quiet and that calm, there is an anxiety to it. Because because it's hard to reach that fulfilled and satisfied, because the mind is so used to running and doing and getting and running and doing and getting and achieving and running and doing and getting and achieving, that when you take that away, that satisfied, you're asking to, this is my normal. So they're not used to they're happy is being in that action stage. That's,
right.
So I'll give you an example. When I was in CPA work, I'd be at tax season, and tax season was insane. All right, I worked a lot of hours, and I was geared for it mentally, emotionally. I knew this is what I needed to do. No big deal. I stayed with it. As soon as tax season ended, you would think I'd be happy, but no. I was like, oh my God. I don't know that I was totally out of my element, because I was so used to running and being
right.
on that high level of I've got to achieve, I've got to do, I've got to go, that being quieter and more calm and having more time was unsettling, because now I had time to pay attention to how I was feeling.
Right.
So it comes down to that balance between doing and being.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like you get high off of doing and you escape in the doing.
Right.
So then, the being, when you're not doing, you feel like there's something wrong, and you don't know how to be in the middle ground between the two, because society defines achievement and success so high on the top, and doing and being busy so high up there, that while you're doing it, you seem okay, but then when you stop, you're like, okay, am I really okay? Wow, this is what quiet feels like. What did I miss? Three months of my life? 3 months just went by. So I like the gap idea there, Darlene. That was really good. Perfect, actually. Thank you.
Well, I enjoyed this. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I think I'm going to bring this to a close. I'm going to unmute you, Darlene.
Okay.
And we'll see you on Facebook. Was a pleasure.
Okay.
All right. Do you have anything to add, Crystal?
I think that I have to throw this out there. You know, you were talking about the doing. You're so busy
Yeah.
doing and
Yep.
achieving and manifesting and making that when there's that break, you don't know what to do. Or I
Yep.
think part of that is because that's the time when you can be and you can
Yep.
reflect and you can examine yourself. And if we're going to really be perfectly honest, sometimes that's very uncomfortable. Because when you really look at yourself and look at where you're going, what you're doing, what you want, what you don't want, you know, there are choices there. And it might just be self-improvement or self-care or changing things about yourself or making different decisions. But there's a lot of
Yep.
work involved in not doing. There might be more work involved in not doing than there is doing. And I think sometimes maybe that's where the abundance comes in, because you get your direction there. If you can take the time not doing to find your direction, that's where you find your abundance.
Perfect way to end the call. You're a wise woman, my dear. You are. So anyway, thank you everybody for listening to this. I know it was a lot of information and a lot of different ways of presenting it, but we all have a strong heart here, and we're here to share. You make up your mind. You direct your life. These are just things for you to consider, for sure. So anyway, next month we'll be around. I will send out invitations to everybody. I think the dates are on my website for the next one. I don't know it off the top of my head, but we'll see you guys next month, and have a great night, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Good job. Talk to you guys all soon. Take care.